Welcome to Waterloo, birthplace of Memorial Day and where the women's rights movement was conceived. We are proud of our village and hope you will enjoy learning more about our history.
Waterloo is located in the heart of the beautiful Finger Lakes, where people enjoy the peacefulness of rural countryside, but the glitter and excitement of big cities are only an hour away. Here neighbors greet each other by name on the street, volunteer for the fire department and community organizations, attend band concerts and school plays, march in parades, and savor summer barbecues.
There are many advantages about living in a small town like Waterloo. Everybody knows your name. That also can be a disadvantage, because then everybody knows your business. But I can tell you I would live no place else but Waterloo, New York.
Our history begins in the 1500s, when the Cayuga Nation of Indians established a permanent settlement on the north side of the Seneca River. They named the settlement Scoyays, meaning flowing water.
In 1792, a white man named Samuel Bear came this way looking for a place to settle.
He chose this site because the Seneca River was a perfect source of water power for his grist mill. In this first year, he made friends with the Cayugas, cleared land for a settlement, and built his home before returning to Pennsylvania for the winter. The next spring, he returned to Scollay with 3 millers, Casper, John, and George Yost, and with his cousins, John and Ephraim Bear. With the help of the Indians, they continued working on digging races and building his mill. With crude stones, they began to grind grain into meal. It was the only grist mill within several miles. His first sale of property was to the 3 Yost brothers, who immediately built a sawmill near Bear's grist mill.
Samuel Bear started a general store and was the first merchant in town. He named his new settlement Jefferson. Samuel Bear died in 1807 at the age of 37 and is buried in Bear Cemetery on West River Street. In 1807, Elisha Williams, a lawyer from Hudson, New York, bought 100 acres of land on the north side of the river, upon which the present village now stands. He named the growing settlement New Hudson. The Williams family is remembered by many of the street names: Elizabeth, Virginia, Williams, and Elisha. In 1816, residents gathered to adopt a new name for the village on both sides of the river. The name Waterloo was chosen to honor the victory of Wellington over Napoleon the previous year. That battle is not the only military event honored in Waterloo. If you enter our beautiful village by car from the west, you will come to Lafayette Park. In 1922, the park was renamed to commemorate the visit of the Revolutionary War hero to the village. The Lafayette Memorial marks the spot where the General, the Marquis de Lafayette, was greeted by the citizens of Waterloo on June 8, 1825.
The obelisk in the center of Lafayette Park was erected to mark the Sullivan Centennial. On the north side of the monument is a plaque commemorating the destruction of the Cayuga Indian village Scollay by Sullivan's army in 1779. On the south side of the monument, the words etched in Scollay's language translates, "Once a home, now a memory." Erected in 1929, this red granite monument commemorates the Sullivan military expedition against the Iroquois Indians in September 1779. The bronze plaque on the front contains likenesses of General John Sullivan and General James Clinton, who led the expedition. The distinctive stone arches in the center of the park once served as doorways in the old high school. When the school was demolished to make way for the present middle school in 1928, they were taken down stone by stone and then reassembled on routes 5 and 20 just west of the village. In 1986, the arches were again dismantled and moved to Lafayette Park as part of the Centennial of the Waterloo High School. The circular granite emblem was erected in 1966 when the village was officially recognized as the birthplace of Memorial Day. The family on the insignia is pictured with heads bowed in respect for the dead. And the flag illustrates the tradition of flying the colors at half-staff. In 1948, this monument was dedicated to the honor and sacrifice of our men and women who served our country in World Wars I and II. Inscribed on the center panel are the names of 38 men who died in the 2 wars. 2 side panels honor those who died in Korea, Vietnam, and the Gulf War. This anchor, dredged from Seneca Lake, was erected in 1991 to pay tribute to the 411,429 boys who became men as they trained at Sampson Naval Training Station between 1942 and 1946 for duty in World War II. The newest monument in the park was dedicated in 1998 to the memory of those who died in the defense of our country.
Called one of the beauty spots of the region, the park is the focal point of village celebrations, including the annual Memorial Day observance, the Real Christmas, and many more. Many people visit Waterloo by boat, arriving at Oak Island, located on the Cayuga-Seneca Canal. It is a popular recreational area with nature trails, fishing access, boat launching and docking facilities, and picnic areas. In the 1990s, the village began to develop Oak Island as a port on the Erie Canal system. It received several grants to pave and improve the parking area, install aluminum docks, and build a picnic pavilion and a comfort station. The Cayuga-Seneca Canal connects the two largest Finger Lakes. It opened in 1818 as Seneca Lock Navigation Company Canal, when 3 sets of rapids were dammed and locked to allow goods to be transported on the Seneca River. In 1828, the state bought the private navigation company, enlarged the canal, and changed the route and locks to form the Cayuga-Seneca Canal. It was connected to the Erie Canal, joining the historic waterway southeast of Seneca Falls at Montezuma. The locks were expanded in 1854 to match the dimensions of the barge canal system. The present canal and lock number 4 were constructed in 1913-1914 and relocated to the present route. Lock 4 was rebuilt in 1984 when all working parts were replaced and lock walls and gates were repaired. Today, the Cayuga-Seneca is part of the 524-mile Erie Canal system. The lock serves recreational boaters who travel from the Finger Lakes along the inland waterway to Florida and the world. The Cayuga-Seneca Canalway Trail is being developed as part of the revitalization of the Erie Canal. This hiking and biking trail will connect Waterloo to Geneva on the west and Seneca Falls on the east. Vern's Way, a walking trail named in memory of Vern Sessler, connects Oak Island to the downtown business district. The Waterloo Memorial Youth and Community Center on Oak Street is a popular gathering place for youth and adults. Athletic programs for adults and youth, a summer recreation program, and meetings of community organizations are held here. The first community center was built here in 1948, and the new center was constructed in 1997.
Here we are at the Rec Center in Waterloo, New York. We're getting close to the time when the Rec Center is going to be tore down to make way for the brand new building, Community Center as it's going to be called. The cornerstone was put in 1948 when this building was built. We're going to remove it and put it adjacent to the entrance of the new building, and we're going to have a new cornerstone put in at that time that'll say 1997. The new building is going to be a 14,000 square foot building, steel frame, on the same site, and it'll basically encompass this whole building that's here right now. And on hand today we have the mayor and a few of the trustees.
The appearance of Waterloo hasn't changed much in the past 50 years. Like the buildings, the hospitality and friendliness of the people has remained the same.
Hi, my name is Leo Costantino. I've been a barber here in the village of Waterloo for 35 years, and it's been very good to me, and I raised a family, and I'm very pleased to say that my son has joined me in the same business. I'm very happy for him.
Hello, my name is Dave Costantino, second generation barber, Leo's son. Maybe one day one of my 3 boys will be a barber also. We'll see how that can go. But in the meantime, Waterloo is a nice village to raise a family.
Nugent's is an old-fashioned hardware store which has been around for 127 years. But we also sell items on eBay. Like Nugent Hardware, Waterloo is a perfect demonstration of how you can change with modern times and yet hold on to the unchanging values of family, patriotism, church, and athletics.
Waterloo residents have always encouraged new ideas. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, was founded here. The modern method of embalming and the concept of tile drainage in America all originated here.
But the biggest change occurred when Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Lucretia Mott, and other women met at the home of Jane and Richard Hunt at 401 East Main Street on July 9, 1848, to plan the first Women's Rights Convention. The women gathered the following Sunday at the home of Quakers Thomas and Marianne McClintock of 14 East Williams Street. Thomas McClintock was an ardent abolitionist who operated a drugstore in the Hunt Block, currently known as the Waterloo Main Street Shop Center. Around a mahogany tea table in the front parlor of the McClintock house, the women drafted the Declaration of Sentiments to be presented at the convention in Seneca Falls. It called for equal rights for women, including the right to vote. The McClintock House has been called one of America's treasures. It and the Hunt House now are part of the Women's Rights National Historical Park. The Park Service restored the McClintock House to its appearance in the mid-1800s and reopened it in 2004. Prominent abolitionists and women's rights speakers came to Waterloo in the 1800s. And found a very receptive audience when they spoke at Fatzinger Hall in the Waterloo Library at 31 East Williams Street. The hall is named for Thomas Fatzinger, a local industrialist who donated $5,000 as an endowment fund for the library and remained its greatest benefactor. A popular lecture hall with a stage that has a trap door, it is still used for performances today. Built in Queen Anne style in 1881, the library is fenced and trimmed with decorative wrought iron, manufactured in Waterloo. It is the oldest library building in continuous use in New York State. Inside the library features stained glass windows and attractive woodwork. The Terwilliger Museum Edition contains paintings and artifacts illustrating the history of the village. Many are arranged in theme rooms. The bull wheel in the side yard was used in the former woolen mill to transfer power, initially from a raceway from the Seneca River to the mill machinery.
The Waterloo Library and Historical Society also operates the Memorial Day Museum at 35 East Main Street. Built about 1840 and adopted by the Historical Society in 1965, this brick house is noted for its distinctive front porch. The former boarding house has been restored to 19th century graciousness with authentic furnishings, window treatments, and wallpaper. The pump organ was made in Waterloo. The museum contains papers documenting its designation as the birthplace of Memorial Day, and memorabilia, period clothing, and military uniforms from the Civil War to the present.
We're proud of the Memorial Day Museum we have here. We hope it is a place where visitors can come from all over the country and with obtain a little education and be inspired, recognizing from their experience here the fond remembrance and of all the people who have given their lives. And we hope that by coming here, they go away inspired in a very patriotic sense and can take a message back to their own hometowns.
Waterloo is proud to be known as the birthplace of Memorial Day. Local historian John Genung explains the origin of this national holiday.
After the final battle of the Civil War, Henry C. Wells, a druggist in the village of Waterloo, stated at a social gathering that while praising the living, it would be well to remember the patriotic dead by placing flowers upon their graves. In the spring of 1866, General John B. Murray, then county clerk, became enthused with Mr. Wells' idea. He was a man of some prominence. He was a trained and polished orator. He had commanded the 148th Regiment of the New York State Volunteers, and he marshaled the veteran support and decided that a Memorial Day would be held early in May. The first Decoration Day observance was held in Waterloo on May the 5th, 1866. All businesses in town were closed, and the village was dressed in flags at half-mast. Ladies of the village met at Towsley Hall and made wreaths and crosses for the graves of each fallen hero. War veterans and other village residents gathered and marched to the strains of martial music through the streets of the village in a parade to each of the 3 cemeteries to decorate the graves of their departed comrades. On May the 5th, 1868, the second anniversary of Decoration Day at Waterloo, General John A. Logan, Commander-in-Chief of the Grand Army of the Republic, issued his famous General Order No. 11, which officially set aside May the 30th as Decoration Day. The term Decoration Day was later changed to Memorial Day at the request of the Grand Army of the Republic. Waterloo has observed Memorial Day on May the 30th every year since its inception. On May 17th, 1966, Waterloo received national recognition as the birthplace of Memorial Day.
Village Trustee Richard T. Schreck.
It's been a village tradition, and not only a tradition, but a fact, that Waterloo accepted Memorial Day on May 5th, 1866. But until this year, we never had the cooperation of the citizens of the village. We never had leadership. But a meeting was held on June 16th with village leaders and veterans officials to decide to do something about this, and it was the unanimous decision of these people at this time to go ahead with a program. It was decided to contact all the village societies by letter. This was done, and soon afterwards we met in the VFW hall to decide whether this project should go through. It met with unanimous approval of everyone there, and it was decided that a steering committee be elected immediately. The committee was elected, a research chairman also elected, and work started immediately.
St. Paul's Church hosted a religious service on Memorial Day, 1966. Choir members led a procession that included the Right Reverend Edward Randolph Wells, the Bishop of West Missouri, and the closest living relative of Henry C. Wells. The General Murray House at 111 West Main Street. John Genung introduces Mrs. Lewis S. Matthews, General Murray's granddaughter, who unveils the plaque on the residence. The Henry Carter Wells home at 13 Center Street, with Wells family members in attendance. A young Henry Wells unveils the plaque on his famous relative's home. The Memorial Day Museum, which was first opened on Memorial Day, 1966. The school children were provided flags and lined the streets as the parade passed by. the VFW Color Guard from Waterloo. The Waterloo High School Band and Color Guard. Soldiers from the Seneca Army Depot. The Union Army of the Commemoration. The Confederate Army of the Commemoration. The ceremonies at Lafayette Park. Oliver McFall, Legion Commander, and James McCann, VFW Commander, place a wreath at the monument. The war dads pay their respects. Ceremonies back of the Waterloo High School on Center Street. Congressman Stratton presents Mayor Marion DeSicca with the Presidential Proclamation and Congressional Resolution.
Present to you this resolution by the President of the United States, but also the pen which he used in signing it in the White House, and also to present to you a formal engrossed copy of the resolution passed by Congress, and I'll read that too, if I may. The 89th Congress of the United States of America at the second session. Concurrent resolution resolved by the House of Representatives, the Senate concurring, that the Congress of the United States, in recognition of the patriotic tradition set in motion 100 years ago in the village of Waterloo, New York, does hereby officially recognize Waterloo, New York as the birthplace of Memorial Day, and authorizes and requests the President to issue, prior to May the 30th, 1966, an appropriate proclamation calling the attention of all citizens to the centennial anniversary of the first observance of Memorial Day in Waterloo, New York. Attest by Ralph R. Roberts, Clerk of the House of Representatives, and by Emil J. Frazier, Secretary of the Senate. And I'm pleased to present this to you for turning over to the Waterloo Memorial Day Library for safekeeping there.
I want to thank you, Congressman Stratton, for everything you've done, and I will see to it that it will be placed in the Waterloo home on Main Street.
Next will be Governor Rockefeller's personal representative, Major General Colin P. Williams, reading the governor's proclamation.
On the 7th of March, 1966, the following proclamation was issued. On May 5, 1866, the citizens of Waterloo, with stores closed, flags flying at half-mast, draped in mourning, with wreath and a cross and martial music, marched to the village cemeteries to eulogize the fallen heroes of the Civil War and lay formal offerings on their graves. This was the first formal, complete, well-planned, village-wide observance of a day entirely dedicated to honoring the war dead. The observance was held 2 years before General John A. Logan issued his famous Order Number 11, formally proclaiming Memorial Day, then called Decoration Day. These facts are corroborated by documents from authentic sources. The people of Waterloo are justly proud of this outstanding event in the history of their community. They are planning a solemn and colorful celebration of the 100th anniversary of the first Memorial Day observance held in their village. It is fitting that the rest of us, their fellow citizens of the Empire State, participate in this celebration. So therefore, I, Nelson A. Rockefeller, Governor of the State of New York, do hereby proclaim Waterloo, New York, as the birthplace of Memorial Day. To be so honored, throughout the state of New York. Given under my hand and privy seal of the state at the Capitol in the city of Albany this 7th day of March, in the year of our Lord 1966, signed Nelson A. Rockefeller, and properly authenticated.
Over 2 years ago, the citizens of Waterloo began to realize that 125th anniversary was coming up. As we got together and talked, we decided that we had to do a big reawakening on the 125th. Usually people do things on the 50th anniversaries. They do it on the 50th, the 100th, the 150th. We decided we couldn't wait that long because in between we would lose a generation or two. We needed to heighten the awareness of the meanings of Memorial Day. We also realized that we still have living veterans of 4 wars with us. And it's important on Memorial Day to remember not only those who died, but also all the rest of them that served. And we can do that this Memorial Day still for veterans of 4 living wars.
More than a year of planning, begun by a sizable committee and with work by hundreds of volunteers, led to a month of remembrance, ceremony, and yes, celebration, as Waterloo was site of a huge culminating gathering for its solemn rites. It hosted a first-day Memorial Day stamp cancellation, was the site of band and choral concerts, a host of money-raising events to help fund the activities, a Civil War encampment, a reenactment of the original Decoration Day, a tour of homes, a lawn social, a Civil War-era ladies' tea, a veteran and Boy Scout guarded replica of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, a Knickerbocker baseball game, guided tours for the heightened visitation at its Memorial Day Museum, a flag run walk, an outdoor Memorial Day Mass, and a national commemoration of the 125th anniversary of Memorial Day. While that degree of activity can hardly be expected to be sustained year after year, when the community joins the veterans organizations each May 30th for solemn ceremonies and decoration of veterans' graves, the participation seems to grow, one case in point being the presence of ever larger contingents of World War II Navy veterans who trained at nearby Sampson Naval Training Center, more than 60 this year alone. As they were on May 5, 1866, American flags are much in evidence on homes and poles along the parade route and throughout the community.
In August 1998, the village board established the Waterloo Millennium Council to coordinate and implement the events that would take place in Waterloo during the millennium year 2000. To begin the process, a cross-section of residents, including representatives from various clubs, schools, veterans groups, and civic organizations, were invited to a brainstorming session to plan an event. A committee was organized and events were planned that would complement and not distract from the traditional Memorial Day solemn observance. Out of this meeting came the title of the event, Celebrate Commemorate 2000.
What a great day to be here in Waterloo, where an idea has become a part of the tradition and the regular ceremony of this country.
I want to thank the committee who is continually growing and continually moving to find new ways to recognize Memorial Day, to thank you for keeping the true spirit, the true meaning of Memorial Day alive. There's no better place than in Waterloo to do that, and you have done it so very, very well.
The community celebration included 4 days of activities that began on Friday, May 26th and ended on Monday, May 29th with a patriotic firework display. The traditional solemn commemoration, sponsored by the veterans organizations, was held on Tuesday, May 30th. On May 29th, Waterloo residents set a Guinness World Record for having the most American flags displayed in a single town in one day. 25,898 flags were displayed, commemorating its historic role as the birthplace of Memorial Day. The annual reenactment of the first Memorial Day is held at the Williams Cemetery on Stark Street, where many village pioneers are buried. On Memorial Day weekend, Mass is celebrated at the Rosary Memorial Mound in St. Mary's Cemetery on Wright Avenue. Maple Grove Cemetery contains the first veterans plot in Waterloo and is the site of annual Memorial Day services.
It really never grabbed me until I became a veteran of the 1st Marine Division in Vietnam. And when I came home and I go to the Memorial Day services and I hear taps, and I think Max and Steve, that they're playing that for you, and my other buddies that didn't make it back. And that really brings what Memorial Day is home.
In 2003, the theme of Celebrate Commemorate was Let Freedom Ring, to honor our men and women serving in the Gulf War. All the churches were asked to ring their bells at noon. The largest bell, said to have the most beautiful tone of all the church bells in the village, is in St. Mary's Roman Catholic Church at 25 Center Street. First established as a parish in 1846, St. Mary's new Roman Catholic Church was constructed between 1873 and 1889. In a Gothic architectural style, the cross-shaped church has 3 gables, each with a stained glass rose window 12 feet in diameter. There are 31 stained glass windows in all. The rectory and convent south of the church were constructed in 1964. In 1904, a parochial school opened with 100 pupils. A new school building was constructed in 1910 and expanded in 1960. The school included pupils in preschool through grade 8. It closed in June 2005.
The twin-spired First Presbyterian Church on East Main Street was dedicated in November 1851. The first church was constructed west of the courthouse in 1823. It was the first edifice built for Christian worship in Waterloo. In 1880, a chapel addition was constructed adjoining the main church, and memorial stained glass windows were installed. The stained glass window behind the altar in the rear of the church is by Louis Comfort Tiffany. St. Paul's Episcopal Church at 101 East Williams Street was organized in 1817. For the first few years of its existence, the church met in the central schoolhouse and in the courthouse. The first church was built in 1825. In 1863, when that frame building was no longer needed as a church, it was sold and moved to Virginia Street, where it later became the home of Rose Hill Grange. The cornerstone of the present building of local limestone was laid June 9, 1863, and the church was completed in about 2 years. The church parish house on the east was built in 1916. A bowling alley in the church basement was a popular sporting facility where bowling leagues competed for many years.
The Methodist Church on East William Street was organized in 1833. After the first church on the corner of Elisha and Virginia Streets burned, a new church was built and was used until this larger church was constructed in 1895. The church's bell was the first in the village to announce the landing on D-Day on the French coast in 1944. Veterans of all wars gather at the VFW Post Home at 29 West Elisha Street. Waterloo Memorial Post 6433 was chartered in 1946. The post home was built by the members themselves, and the first meeting in the new building was held in July 1951. The Sampson World War II Naval Veterans Organization was established here in 1987. The Huey helicopter on the side lawn had flown in Vietnam in 1969. It was obtained in 1995 as a memorial for all veterans. The VFW and the American Legion sponsor the annual Memorial Day commemoration. Located at the corner of Virginia Street and East William Street, the American Legion home, Warner Van Riper Post 435, is the former home of early resident Joseph Wright. He owned a racing park that became the Seneca County Fairgrounds.
The Fairgrounds has been the location of many exciting events throughout the years. Annual agricultural exhibitions are held here with farmers vying for prized blue ribbons for their cows, pigs, sheep, and chickens. 4-H youth show off their projects. Women enter their sewing and handiwork, and the Midway attracts the young and the young at heart. The annual parade and demolition derby are highlights of Fair Week, held each July. The racetrack at the Fairgrounds has been the site of spirited competition from the beginning. Horse racing gradually gave way to auto racing. Stock car racing was revived in 1953 after about a 15-year absence. That's when the Waterloo Stock Car Racing Association was formed and held races on Saturday nights. For more than 20 years, drivers and fans enjoyed racing around the dirt track. There is no doubt that the greatest fans the drivers had were the local children. Some of them grew up to be professional race car drivers. By the end of the 1950s, the rules had changed. The cars were better constructed and much faster, and the track was made safer. A new grandstand was built to accommodate the larger crowds. Stock car racing at the Fairgrounds was stopped in 1971 when neighbors protested the noise. The track was shut down until 1976 when it was revived briefly for 2 years.
In 1984 through 1987, Amy's Checkered Flag hosted block parties with racing as the theme. The parties, in the parking lot behind the businesses on Main Street, attracted many NASCAR racers and their cars. In 1996, the Waterloo Business and Professional Association revived the block parties. People came from far and wide. The parties continued for 4 years. Another activity that has attracted people to our village is Real Christmas. Held the first Saturday in December, it is sponsored by the WBPA and the village churches. Scenes depicting the birth of Christ are set up along Main Street. Lighted angels show the way on the main streets in the village. Church choirs and school choral groups sing Christmas carols, and everyone gathers in the park in front of the Main Street School for the tree lighting ceremony.
The Main Street School is the village's oldest active school building. Originally, it was the high school. When the high school on Center Street was constructed in the early 1960s, the building became a junior high, and most recently housed the middle school. In 2003, the local community voted to expand the high school to a junior-senior high school campus with much improved athletic facilities. Kindergarten through grade 2 pupils attend Scoyer's Primary School at 65 Fayette Street, and pupils in grades 3 through 5 attend at Lafayette Intermediate School, 71 Inslee Street. The Border City Multi-Age School, located at 436 Border City Road, serves pupils in kindergarten through grade 5.
Waterloo has a proud athletic tradition. Beginning with Pee Wee sports and continuing through high school, our teams have won many league and sectional championships. Scores of athletes have gone on to distinguished careers in college and professional sports. Waterloo native son and New York Giants football coach Tom Coughlin explained, "It was important to me that I grew up with a group of people who were very competitive, interested in athletics and in succeeding. We had great coaches, no-nonsense coaches, focused on doing the right thing. They believed in good fundamentals, good habits, good values, doing things the right way. They were good role models for me."
We hope you have enjoyed this picture of life in our small upstate New York community. This DVD and the accompanying book, The History of Waterloo, 1948 to 2002, was a project of my father, the late Vern Sessler, Sr. Dad wanted to share his love of Waterloo with future generations. We hope we have achieved his goal.